Diaz who hounds him. Reina gets the return from Maltz. Challenge on Reina was late. Elbow shot! 1-0 Rangers. The hammer strikes.
I went to 5 of these 6 games that Rangers were involved in. A group, of course, with Bayern Munich, Valencia, and PSV. Of course, the one I missed was the one in Eindhoven, because of course I did. Ultimately failed, but again, look at some of those groups, and that's, I think, the hardest group Rangers have had in the Champions League, relatively speaking, in terms of quality of us against the opponents. You would probably say the last time we were in it, but just in terms of where those teams were. We're going to talk a lot about Valencia coming up. Bayern Munich were minutes away from being champions of Europe, of course. They will do so again. Where does this particular output sit with you compared to our embarrassments in the couple of occasions before that?
I think this is definitely the toughest group in the initial stage, because we mentioned that Arsenal, Barcelona, Fiorentina group, but they had 𝐸𝐴𝐾 there as well. So in essence, they were all guaranteed European football. Very much not the case for us going in as pot 4 and having the 3 teams that we did in Valencia. Like you mentioned, get to the final. Bayern got to the final the year before. PSV, always really, really good, certainly around this time. So yeah, I think it's definitely the strongest. I think we absolutely held our own in there. We know how close we got, I think, in this one. And then we obviously know how unfortunate we were. Plenty teams have had worse Champions League campaigns and topped their groups, I think, and to be honest, probably won the whole thing, and not played as well as we did in some of these games. Advocaat in Europe was interesting. He changed it up a bit more than he did in the domestic competition. We'll come on to in future seasons his looks at sweepers and bringing in curveballs and changing how we play. More on the attack, but he was interesting for us because he was more of a Louis van Gaal type of Dutch coach than a Johan Cruyff type of Dutch coach. He definitely wasn't a total football zealot, which is a little bit strange when you think that Rinus Michels was his mentor as well. It's just funny how 2 or 3, we've mentioned this with Van Gaal and Cruyff before, how they can diverge so much from the same person. But he was very flexible. 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 3-5-2, depending on what we had in Europe. I'm interested to get your guys' thoughts on this. You've probably covered it before, but I know the Moles injury gets the headlines away in Munich, but I think for me, the crucial game was the Munich game at Ibrox, because
it was 100% cheating, diving German bastards.
It wasn't a free kick at all. But
never a free kick in a million years. Arthur Newman gets absolutely done there, and then it fucking deflects it. Sorry, not that bit. Wild deflection from Tarnat's shot. But
what I would say about it, and you might not agree with it, the wall for this free kick is an absolute abomination. I watched it back earlier on today. Actually, is it Reina van Bronckhorst and someone else, can't remember who the third person is, are in the wall. There's a big gap in it. There's 3 of them in the wall. There's a big gap in it anyway. But then you see Rocky Santa Cruz, who's on the penalty area. You see him. I don't know if he notices the gap, because it's definitely not a planned thing that he's going to come and disrupt the wall. It's very, very last minute. He gets himself in the wall and is sort of jostling him about. It looks like a spur of the moment thing. It disrupts it even further. By the time Tarnat is even running up, it's just an absolute riot of a wall. It hits off Santa Cruz, obviously, and flips into the net. So it's really cruel. It wasn't a free kick to begin with, but yeah, it's one of those things.
The other lesson, Adam, was that we're running down the clock. We're in control of this game. We've been battered in Spain, and we've now got the team that were so close to being champions of Europe. We're beating them, and Barry Ferguson is charging ahead instead of
keeping the ball,
giving the ball away, and that's where the free kick comes from.
That's it. If you keep the ball and you see the game out, I think there was a lack of confidence after that doing that we got in Valencia, because it was 2-0 going on 8. But yeah, you can look at it as an opportunity missed, but we really punched high this year against a right good group. And I remember even at the time when I saw, you know, the first leg, again, the first game against Valencia, Martin, I think you'll agree that we were.
But it's not as if he's just playing. He's like they're in these teams in the Copa Libertadores like right now, as in
Same age as
now,
me.
and he's 43. Yeah, I was just googling and trying. It was
Incredible.
actually I was looking at the wall and thinking, was it Santa Cruz or was it 𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐻? I wasn't sure who it was, and it came up and I was like,
That is
still playing.
incredible.
Is the 12-year-old
Absolutely.
goalkeeper they had in goals that night still playing? I'm sure he.
What was
I don't think
wasn't it?
I don't think he was playing by about 2003, Martin. I think he
Yeah.
ended up working in a cinema somewhere. He, you know, I think they just found him at the training ground and played him. But yeah, like I'm not a great one. Rangers fans in general, we're not great ones for glorious failure, but we gave that a right good go, and we were just we fell a wee bit short, and it was really disappointing. We'll come back to it next year. When I won't say the same, but I did feel in this one that when we got to the end, I was really disappointed. But I was, you know, I felt the side have given us all they could give us, and they learned throughout the group, and you know that you saw what they had about them. We should have won the UEFA Cup that year, but again, that's a completely different show.